Hey guys, today I'm going to run you through a real simple yoga class. It's definitely something you can do as a whole family, or as a parent who needs some time away, you can close the door and do it on your own. Okay, let's get into it. So we're going to start our class standing at the front of the mat. We're just going to double check our feet are nice and straight. We're going to stand up really straight. We're going to roll our shoulders back a little bit. Before we start, we're just going to get our bodies moving and do a little warm-up. Make sure that we don't have any kinks. So we're going to raise our hands above our head, put our hands together, and we're going to inhale, big inhale, and we're just going to move our bodies down as if we're chopping an imaginary piece of wood. We're going to stand back up and chop down as if we're chopping an imaginary piece of wood. Big inhale, big exhale. Big inhale, big exhale. That just gets our bodies moving. We're going to just do one little laying down position where we swim in the midair. Just gets our core moving, gets our legs and arms moving. Now we're ready to do a sun salutation, a very core part of yoga, something that you'll do in every class, something that many of you may have already seen before. So I'm going to go through it step by step. We're going to start standing. First, you're going to inhale as you raise your hands up, and exhale as you fold down, trying not to bend your knees. Come down as far as you can go. You're going to inhale to a halfway lift, placing your hands on your thighs, avoiding your knees, straightening out your back and just standing at a right angle. Then you're going to come down into a plank position. I usually use my fists. It's a lot less hard on your wrists. You're going to exhale as you slowly lower down. Inhale as you raise your body up. Push your body back in a downward facing dog. And walk up to a forward fold again. Inhale as you raise all the way up. So here you can see us doing tree pose. The biggest thing here is to avoid putting any pressure on the side of your knee. So we're going to show you some variations for whichever one suits you best. Here we're going into Warrior One. With this pose, you just have to make sure your front foot is nice and straight, your back foot is angled to the side of the mat, your front knee is at a right angle or just past the right angle. And when you raise your hands, you want to roll your shoulders back real nice and get a nice straight back. Here you can see us going into Warrior Two. With this pose, you're still doing the front foot nice and straight, the knee at a right angle or just past a right angle. The back foot is now flat against the end of the mat, and your arms should be nice and straight from front to back. Remember, you're always doing the same pose on the opposite side with every pose. Here you can see us going into Warrior 3. This is optional, it's just a bit of fun to see if you can balance on one foot while supermaning through the air, trying to get your back and leg to be nice and straight with your arms. This is chest to knee pose. Here we're just putting our front foot nice and straight with a gentle step forward, angled back foot to the side of the mat, keeping your front leg real nice and straight, and just bringing your chest towards your knee, focusing on the back of the leg stretch.
And here's the other side. Here you can see us going into triangle pose. This one's almost the same as the last pose. You're just turning your body to the long side of the mat and side bending over top of your outstretched leg. Here we're just going into a simple standing back bend, keeping your hands on your lower back for support and remembering to breathe throughout the whole pose. Here we're going into gate pose. On one knee, you're going to outstretch your other leg to the side, keeping your foot nice and straight, and side bending over top of that leg. Here we're going into a simple kneeling position called lightning pose. We're going to show you in another clip exactly how your feet should be. It's a good stretch for your feet and ankles. You can move the pillow to wherever is comfortable if you have difficulty going into this pose. Here you can see us going into hero's pose. You're going to keep the top of your feet against the ground, spread your legs a little bit apart, and you can see me giving you a little bit of a harder progression in this pose. Here we're doing a seated forward fold. The biggest thing here is to keep your legs nice and straight, no bending your knees here. You can see our feet positions are curling our toes slightly back to give the legs an extra good stretch. In this pose, if you can't touch your feet or toes, you can use a strap to get the best stretch possible. You can see us going into half butterfly pose, just keeping one knee bent and back as we forward fold again. You can see us going into butterfly pose here. Your feet should be together, but the tops can kind of open up like a book as you bring your knees closer to the ground, trying to keep your back nice and straight as well. Here you can see us going into diamond pose. It's a little bit easier variation, but also a good forward fold stretch. Here we're going into bridge pose. Before you start, roll your shoulders back. As you rise up, interlace your hands underneath you. If you're going into wheel pose, you can select a nice place on your mat and go into it if you're ready. Here we're going into shoelace pose. Pretty simple variation that I'm using is to curl forward and bend. You do not have to bend forward if you don't want to. If you're not bending forward, you simply bring your knee towards your chest as you're lying on the ground. for everyone's favorite pose, Shavasana. In Shavasana, you close your eyes and steady your breathing so it's nice and consistent, and you slowly push all thoughts out of your mind as you rest and relax your body.
So guys, that was our yoga class. I hope you enjoyed it and followed along easily. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you put that into the comments below.